Our window of opportunity is limited. We need to kick it into high gear. With all of this stuff going on globally, it can become very, very difficult because we're hearing crazy news after crazy news after crazy news of all this different stuff that is going on in our country, our states, globally. It's just everywhere. All this stuff is crazy, and it just keeps getting piled on top of each other, and it gets more difficult for a lot of people to stay on top of their game with their preparedness because it gets very overwhelming. We need to make sure that we're staying on top of our game. All these different things that are going on can really turn ugly quite fast. I know a lot of people are not really looking at everything that's going on. We're currently, they think that we could go into SHTF, but the reality is, I've been looking at this for quite a while, that we're already in SHTF. So much stuff is going on, and we need to be prepared for things to rapidly change in the future. I know for a lot of people, these things that are going on with, there's war out there, there's a possibility of it coming closer to us. There's always that chance. Violence and crime is rising quickly. There's just so much. Food shortages, inflation, more and more people can't make ends meet. And the more prepared we are, for me, definitely, and I know some people, it really does help them, but the more prepared we are, I believe it takes the fear out of what's to come. If we are more prepared for it, and the more people that are prepared for it, the better off we're all going to be. Because when other people are not prepared, that causes problems for us later on. And because then we've got to be prepared to protect what we've done and the ones we love. So making sure that we're prepared, sharing any ideas that you can with people to help them get more prepared. Sometimes they're not going to listen, and that's very sad. And those people, unfortunately, are going to freak out when something happens. Whereas if you're prepared and you're ready for that situation and you know that it's coming down the road, it really can help you and go at it calmly and accept what it is. I mean, we can't control everything, but we can control some things. We can control how we prepare for things. We can control what we prepare, what we're ready to handle. And mentally, I think it is very important for us to be prepared mentally as well. That is a huge thing for all of us, because so many people get scared and panicked and things like that. And just coming at these different situations in a calm manner is really helpful for you and your family and everything. If we know it's coming, we can see it coming down the road, we can definitely prepare for it. And yes, I'm sure we'll all freak out a little bit when stuff really pops off and goes crazy. But we're ready. We'll be able to step up and do what we need to do to make sure we can take care of our families and whatever it is that we have to do. Our government is still sending money all over the world. Our national oil reserves are extremely low, like 67% lower than they were just a few years ago. We need to be ready for things to get really crazy. With the hurricane, they shut down some of the oil drilling in the Gulf Coast, which they had to do because it was too dangerous. And, that reduces the amount that's getting put back into the system all the time. So that's going to definitely, I'm guessing they're pretty close to back up and running. But even though it was only like 20% reduction, it's still, that makes a difference. When we don't have enough in the reserves, everything is going to start rising again, and we need to be prepared for that financially. The inflation is still out of control. If you go to the grocery store, it's still crazy. And I know we have been looking at different places to find things, because as things get either too expensive or unavailable, because we still see shortages on certain things, and it kind of goes in and out, and different things, show up missing. We are looking in different places that we haven't shopped before. And we have for a long time used LDS store, and it's right online. You don't have to be a member of the church. They do have long-term food storage, and it's actually quite affordable. It's all packed up in number 10 cans. You buy a case of 6, and it's really not that expensive. And for what it is, it's affordable, and the shipping is like $3.95 for 1 case or 10 cases. Doesn't matter what you order, it's a flat rate fee, which is another wonderful thing. And buying locally with cash is definitely the first option, in my opinion. But when you can't get something and you need to get it into your pantry, buying it online is another option that we have to take into consideration. Not always my favorite option, but we do what we got to do, and we've got to keep our families going, and we got to make sure we have enough. We have to make sure we have enough for when it's too expensive, because inflation is just not slowing down. With the Ukraine putting in for a fast track to join NATO yesterday, that really is a big deal. That, although all the articles I read don't make it look like it's such a scary thing or such a bad thing, but when you think about what that means when they join, we have to protect them, and all the countries in there have to protect them. And they're not signing up to help us, they're signing up to help themselves. So I just really wanted to come on here and just encourage you, keep going, do not stop. Things are going to get a lot crazier than they are right now. Although it seems like our world has already fallen to shreds, there's definitely more that can happen. It can get worse, and it probably will get worse. I would love to say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I pray for that all the time. But we have to be realistic about what's going on and what the ramifications of all these different things will be in the near future. And keeping on top of this, paying attention to what's going on, and making sure that you've got plenty of water filters, plenty of water storage, plenty of food, protection for you and your family. You are going to need to protect yourself and your family and your things, because we don't live in the world that we used to live in. People do crazy things. I have seen people on the news that have killed people over a stick of freaking gum or a pair of shoes or something stupid as that. I mean, we have to be realistic about the world we live in and be prepared to protect ourselves and our families. So that is it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.